I'm freaking out. I haven't planned this. I don't know where it's going. And this is for me. This is called morning therapy before the Super Bowl. The first thing is I'm scared. I'm terrified. I'm nervous. If I think back in my history of Seahawks Super Bowls, the first one that I ever watched, I was in roughly 5th grade, and they played the Steelers, and I just remember, not prior to the game, but after the game, how disappointed I was. There were some calls in that game where I believed the refs were benefiting the Steelers more than not. And I actually remember a few months after that Super Bowl, ESPN aired a segment where there was conversations of replaying that Super Bowl because of how bad the refs were. Then it was like a really long stretch of middle school getting completely clowned, getting completely made fun of. Matt Hasselbeck leaves, and we're in this like Seneca Wallace, Charlie Whitehurst, just mess before Russell Wilson arrived. And Russell Wilson did not arrive until I was in high school. And so it was like, you think about what middle school is for people, and the fact that middle school is like troubling for kids going through puberty anyway, but then you stick fandom of one of the worst teams in the NFL on top of a kid. I went through some trauma. I went through some bullying, and I lived to see another day. And that other day was not until my freshman year of college, which is so funny that once I get to college and nobody knows who I am, nobody understands that I have worn the stripes and been a Seahawks fan through middle school and high school, 7 years of torment, of agony, of nonsense, of losing and losing and losing. And this was before I had cable. This was before you were able to stream the games illegally, at least to my knowledge. As a middle schooler, I would sit at my parents' desktop computer with dial-up internet, pull up the NFL like play-by-play and just watch the lines move across the field. Like, that's how I spent my Sunday afternoons. I was dedicated. All for what? 2 and 16 seasons, 2 and 15 seasons. When I get to college, nobody understands that I have earned this. And my freshman year of college, Seattle plays Denver, and we know that the first snap of the game, the ball goes over Peyton Manning's head, and Seattle just dominates top to bottom after that. Best sports moment of my life, what I had been waiting for. And I feel like some people start to like a team and they don't experience these lows. They're here, they win one, they're here. Like the Patriots fans growing up, they witnessed so much victory, at least in my era with Tom Brady and with Bill Belichick, that they didn't know what it felt like to finally have reached the peak after being down in the valley. And I couldn't celebrate in good conscience because everybody on campus was like, oh, look at this bandwagon. Oh, look at this. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, I was there with Charlie Whitehurst and Seneca Wallace, man. I was there for that. With Russell Wilson and the Legion of Boom, they were able to be dominant for a few years, and they go back to the Super Bowl. And obviously, we know what happened the last time they played the Patriots, Super Bowl 49, when they decided to pass the ball on the 1-yard line and it gets intercepted. And I remember that night as well. I was watching with 2 friends and my mom, and as soon as he threw that interception, I remember I was kind of laying on an air mattress in our living room, and we had this old chest, this old like family heirloom chest, and I took my fist and I hit the chest as hard as I could, and I got up and I went to my room, and my friends were still there, my mom was still there, and I didn't even watch the rest of the game because I knew it was over. And my friends left. I didn't say bye. And my mom, she was like, I know you're disappointed, but you need to be respectful. Like, it's rude to just have your friends be unsure if they're just supposed to leave or walk out or like, so I remember that. After that, I just felt like the organization just had so many cracks in it. And it's like people were upset with Pete Carroll. It came out that like Russell Wilson, they were maybe trying to make him the hero of the moment. They didn't want to make Marshawn Lynch the hero. It just was this weird sort of political divide. And it led to everything just falling apart. And it didn't fall apart totally. I still feel like the culture remained intact. And in the last, I guess, decade, it's been a decade, we have been relevant, but not dominant in any way. And I think what's throwing me off most of all is I don't feel like we deserve to be here. I don't feel like anyone expected us to be here. And that is providing this weird cognitive dissonance in my brain as we get to today, where I'm like, I shouldn't be expecting anything. I shouldn't be hopeful, because at the beginning of the season, nobody expected Seattle to be in this moment. And so we're kind of playing with house money. And then I stop. And then I say, but we're the favorites. The Patriots are playing with house money. The Patriots really weren't expected to be here, probably more so than Seattle. I don't like being the favorites. And I think that's partly what this is about. I would rather come into this game as an underdog with something to prove. I hate being the favorites. Now, the other thing is, if we look across the board at what sharp money is doing, what professionals are doing, it is heavy on Seattle. I mean, it is just unbelievably heavy on the Seahawks. And I can't explain why that makes me more nervous. It's almost like this expectation of them doing well makes me want to say, time out, time out, time out. No. You don't understand. Like, I have been here. I have watched this team for my entire life. And I know when the lights are bright and the pressure's on and they're the favorite, that historically it's been a place for us to be disappointed. And I think maybe that is where I'm coming into this cautiously. If we were 4-point underdogs, I would be excited for tonight. I'd be like, let's go. Let's prove the world wrong. I feel like for the entirety of this, and that's what it is. I discovered it. For the entirety of my time as a Seahawks fan, I've watched this team play the best when they have a chip on their shoulder. When they are being doubted is when I saw them rise. And when they are expected to do well is when they fall apart. And I think that is it. And I told you it was going to be a therapy session today. And I think I have uncovered why I feel so anxious going into this game. It's because we are expected to win. And that makes me nervous. What I'm going to try to do is enjoy the game and understand that the performance of a team does not have any bearing on me as a human and on me as a person. If the Seahawks win or lose, it does not impact my life. And there is something somewhat beautiful about that. Because I spend so much time focusing on sports, my job is to talk about sports. And so to have them lose, I feel like is somehow a reflection of me, which it's not, which is stupid. And so I'm going to realize that that is not the case at all. And I'm going to try to have fun with this game. And I think what potentially changed my mind a little bit and helps me realize that it's not that serious and that there are things that I need to focus more on than winning and losing was before I came upstairs, my daughter was downstairs. And first of all, this morning, I woke up to her voice in the other room, in the kitchen. She was doing a craft. And all I heard was, JSN, JSN, JSN. And like that woke me up. To my daughter, my 4-year-old daughter chanting, JSN. And I was like, let's have some fun. Let's not be stressed and burdened by this moment that really doesn't have anything to do with me. You know what has something to do with me? My daughter and her excitement and her joy and her potential memories of what this means. And I told her last night as I was tucking her into bed, I said, hey, tomorrow's a big day. I'm like, you cannot conceptually understand this, but when I was your age until now, I've only seen the Seahawks play in this game 3 times. And I said, I was lucky that we've seen them play 3 times. I said, so we're going to watch tomorrow and it's past your bedtime and I'm going to let you stay up because this is a big moment. This is a big deal. You're going to stay up late tonight. I said, we're going to watch it because guess what? You don't understand this now. You will someday, but Seattle may not play in another Super Bowl in your lifetime. Like that's a possibility. So we're going to make the most of this. She also had a craft. She was doing crafts out this morning and she wanted me to come do a craft with her. And she brought me a green and a blue marker. And she said, Dad, I got your colors for you. You can do your craft with me. I got your Seahawks colors. Right. So she like understands how much this means to me. And I think that's cool. But as I was coming up here, my wife was in the shower and she was playing Play-Doh. And I said, I'm going to go up upstairs and make a video. And she said, hey, Dad, we got a surprise for you for the Super Bowl. And I was like, oh. I was like, what is it? She's like, well, Dad, it's a surprise. I can't tell you what it is. I'm like, of course. I was like, I don't want to get you in trouble. I don't want to pressure you. I was like, is it something you eat? She's like, no. I said, okay, I'm not going to ask any more questions. And so it's like, that's what matters. Seattle winning and losing, it's going to suck if they lose. But the fact that my daughter is getting in on this, the fact that my wife and her created a surprise for me because they know how big of a deal it is. And this was not stuff I was processing before I pressed record. But I'm processing it now. And I think there are things that are more important and bigger than a win tonight. And it's the people that you share the moment with. And my mom's coming over, and my mom, I kind of convinced her to be a diehard Seahawks fan, and she's in some ways just as passionate as I am, if not more, about Seattle. So she'll be here. We'll enjoy the game together. And I need to be excited more so than nervous, and understand that a loss is not a reflection of me in any way. And I do have a nice future out there. So I may throw a few shekels on the Patriots tonight. Don't tell anybody.